Here's a great way for you to do a wet-dry guitar rig.
Especially for those of you who use amp gain and your effects loop. We removed the effects return from the boogie and we plugged that into the input of the Victory Powervalve 200.
So it's no longer wet-dry, it's proper stereo. So stereo delays and reverbs. Welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello. Welcome to the show. Please subscribe and please go to thatpedalshowstore.com and buy merch. It's how we stay on the air.
And how you stay fashionable.
Sharp dressed man. Yeah, right. So look, we talk about wet dry a lot on That Pedal Show. And for those of you going, oh no, not another wet dry video, this one is particularly of interest to those of you who use your amp channel. So if you have a multi-channel amp and you use amp gain in it and you use your effects loop, and that's something we don't often do for other reasons, which you can watch in previous videos. Dan, why do we like wet dry guitar rigs?
Because it sounds freaking awesome.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Single amp, one guitar, bunch of pedals, great, all good. Another amp, wet dry, it sounds bigger, it sounds fatter, you get more clarity, you get more playing dynamics, and it doesn't have to be super loud. It is a really fantastic way to sound good at lower volume too. So that's why we do it. However, as alluded to, the way we do it usually requires a whole relatively complex pedal board, a splitter on the pedal board, and two separate amplifiers. And that's great. That's how we do it. That's how we like to do it. And we get a lot of questions from those of you who run multi-channel amps and effects loops and use the old 4-cable method. Dan, what's the 4-cable method?
So the 4-cable method is where you put your guitar into the pedal board, and that's one cable. After your gain section, we go into the front of the amplifier. That is 2-cable. From the effects send of the amplifier, we go back into the time-based effects. That is 3-cable. And then out of the time-based effects, back into the effects loop, return of the amplifier. That is 4-cable method.
We've explained that wrong on a number of occasions. I thought that was pretty good. And the benefit of that, of course, is you can have your distortion overdrive effects before your time-based effects, your delays and reverbs, which is the traditional way to do it, and it keeps them sounding nice and clean, and it means you can use the gain in your amp.
Yes.
Okay, so far so good. And as you'll see, that is exactly what we've done with today's rig. We have a traditional channel switching amplifier, a 1980s
Very traditional.
Mesa Mark III, right? Because I was looking around the studio to try and find a channel switching amp. We don't actually own any.
No.
We've got hardly any at all.
Right.
But that was sat there on loan to us by my friend from my friend Simon Miles, and so I thought, perfect. It's an amp I actually used to use when I was in my teens, a channel switching amp with an effects loop.
After playing this amp, I now know why. Well, one of the reasons why you're so good.
Oh, mate.
No,
It is a bit revealing.
but it is. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like there's no hiding with this thing. It's incredible.
But whether you use a Marshall JVM or a Fender amp with multiple channels or a Bogner or whatever it is you use.
Or the new MKX.
Well, that's what I thought we were going to use today, but Dan's got it.
I've got it.
Anyway.
Sorry.
And the Victory connection is important because, right, galloping to the point eventually, Victory have just released this. It's the Powervalve 200. And it is a very small and compact power amp. Now, while this feels like a product placement, yeah, we have friends at Victory, of course we do.
We have friends everywhere.
Little, predominantly solid state Class D power amps are nothing new. Seymour Duncan makes one. Loads of people make them. Electro Harmonics make them. Really small power amps, and they are marketed generally as getting rid of this.
Right.
So you can just run this straight into a cab.
Okay.
This one is marketed as a solution for those of you who run digital modeling systems such as Quad Cortex, Helix, all that kind of stuff. And the marketing spiel is it's got a tube in it, so it adds a bit of tube warmth and dynamics to just warm up some of that digital thing.
Yeah, this is warming up nicely.
That's warming up nicely. Yeah. It's grumbling a bit. It is 40 years old. It is pretty much 40 years old.
I saw today, 40 years ago, was when, was it 40 years ago today or yesterday?
Sinclair C5?
No, it was the Crossroads duel from
no
Steve
way.
Vai, 40 years ago.
With the Karate Kid?
Yep.
Or indeed Ralph Macchio. So I just thought, well, this is kind of interesting. We wouldn't normally use something like this. We've tried the Seymour Duncan ones. We tried some of the just straight Class D ones, and no shade on them other than me and Dan are just wedded to tubes, right? We just love it, and that's what we want to use. But I thought, look, there's loads of you out there who don't want to do wet dry. A, because you've got to buy a second amp. B, because it's a hassle. B, because you might have to significantly rejig your pedal board in order to do wet dry. This is a way to do wet dry. I think that appeals to a lot of people. And that's what we're going to get into. We're going to do it in two ways. We're going to have this rig. And then we're going to add three things. And we're going to move one cable.
Nice.
Right?
Like it.
The three things are this, an extra speaker. Those things you absolutely have to have. And the third thing is nice to have and a should have, which is a device that will isolate the second amplifier and flip the phase if necessary, if it's out of phase.
Helpful.
Watch our other wet dry rigs if you're not sure about that. And then we'll move on to something a bit more ambitious, the full Andy Timmons method. Now, this is also relevant. If any of you out there have got a relatively modern Marshall 1936 212, a modern Marshall 1960 412.
These are the cabs, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Laney, most of the modern brands, if they make a 412 or a 212, it will have a switch on the back, which is mono or stereo. That means you don't even have to buy a new cab. You can just flick it over to stereo, send your regular amp to one side of the cab, send this to the other, and we will get into that. A lot of talking.
So let's just quickly have a look at this setup, right? The standard 4-cable method, why people like to use it, and why it works. So here's our pedal board.
We've deliberately done this pedal board, right, with no switchers,
no switcheroonies,
nothing like that. We haven't even included the little switcher thingy that means Dan and I can swap guitars. It is, signal goes in at the compressor, right? Very deliberately, we've got a modulation pedal that's pre-overdrive, because a lot of you like that. We've got 2 overdrive pedals. Then the signal, well, I'll put a diagram up so I don't have to explain it any further. We have a post-overdrive modulation.
We do.
For reasons that will become apparent. And we got delay and reverb.
Yes.
And these two pedals are running in the loop. You'll see this in bands up and down the land. There is our channel switching amplifier, and these are our... That will switch the channels. LEDs off is clean, B on is crunch, A on is lead.
One thing that I find really helpful in describing an effects loop, because there's a lot of confusion around effects loops. Instead of thinking of the loop as a thing, just think of it as the space between the preamp of the amplifier and the power amp of the amplifier. The effects loop is just a void. It's the thing that connects the preamp to the power amp. So what we're doing is we're taking some effects, plugging them into the preamp, and then we're going after the preamp, plugging the time-based effects, then back into the power amp. So that's what we mean when we talk about effects loop. It's that space between the preamp and the power amp where we can put our time-based effects. Why is that important? Because we want to have our delays and reverbs essentially after our overdrives. But when we're using the overdrives in the amplifier, what do we do? And this is a problem that amp manufacturers had, because people loved turning up their amps and going, oh, this is the overdrive I want, but I love my delays and reverbs. How do I use them?
Yeah, because if you put, we've done this many times before, if you put a delay or a reverb in the front of an overdriving amp, it's like, sounds really cool if you want that sound, but a lot of people don't want that sound.
That's right. So here's the clean channel.
Just turn everything off a minute.
Turn everything off.
So there's no reverb going on in the amp at all. This is just guitar, amp. This is a 100-watt amp with an EV speaker, so it is a little bit arresting. We like it, right? So what's the first thing we do to an amp? It does have reverb in it, but let's just say you're running something that doesn't have reverb. We want to add reverb.
Yes. Can I tell you why that's magic? Because that power amp is so open that the detail you get from that reverb, and especially with the EV, that is outrageous.
And you can choose, obviously, if you're using a modern digital delay and reverb, you can choose whatever reverb sound you like. We had a spring, we then went to a shimmer, etc. Let's stick it back to a nice room, down. Now, when we engage the crunch and the lead channels in the amplifier, no gain pedals yet, this is just the amp, the reverb shouldn't get out of hand.
Oh, man.
So reverb and delay running in the loop. You guys who do this know all about that. It's a lovely experience, and the reverbs and delays stay clean. You can adjust the mix on the fly if you want, but so we get all of that. What we've got at the front of the board here, if you want to add overdrive to your amp channels, all good. We've got the cymbal, just give you a quick listen to it. wide range of sounds, compression and overdrive at the front, a pre-overdrive modulation pedal, which is how Dan likes his flanger usually. It's a little bit over the top, but sounds cool.
Amazing.
And then modulation and delay and reverb in the loop of the amp. So far, so good.
Yes.
So let's change. Let's add 3 things and move 1 cable.
No.
What have we done? We've added
Blown my mind.
We've added 3 things that we said we were going to add. The separate power amplifier, a separate speaker. Now, I've deliberately chosen this speaker. Philippe, if you're watching, our friend Philip from Germany, if you're watching, he gave us this cab because it was kicking around his house and he had nothing to do with it. You may have something similar in your house. That 1x12 that's unloved, that's kicking around. You don't have to go out and buy something super posh, right? We do have a little bit of extra noise now, but that's the nature of the beast. And all we did is we took out, I will demonstrate this in diagrammatic form on the screen for you now. We removed the effects return from the boogie and we plugged that into the input of the Victory Powervalve 200. Now, you do need to think about isolation for ground loop, and you need to think about phase.
You do, that's correct.
Just explain that a sec.
So What's interesting about this, the send from the boogie is splitting the signal, all right? So the preamp signal splits at the send, it goes out the send, but it still goes to the power amp of the boogie, right? So that's really important. That preamp signal that goes out of the send, we've got going into the wet effects, which then goes into the power amp input. But what's really important is, depending on the power amp, we don't know if that power amp's going to be in phase or out of phase.
Or the speaker.
Or the speaker, exactly that, or the speaker. Actually, more than likely the speaker.
More than likely.
So you need the ability to be able to flip the phase on that, whatever signal's going into the power amp.
We've done that with a gig rig humdinger. There are other devices that do it. I'll just give you a listen to what happens when the amps are in phase and when they are out of phase. Now, the nature of that, when you're stood here in the room listening to them, you might find that hard to discern sometimes. When you hear it recorded, like you just have, it will be absolutely night and day. Mm-hmm. So there's that. What are your... So, just to lay it on as well, just so that we're absolutely clear, these 4 effects are hitting both amps.
Yes.
Because the Mesa's preamp section is feeding both power amps, right? So through these 4 into the Mesa preamp, and then that's when it splits, basically. Half the split goes through the wet effects and into the Victory only. So there's no wet effects coming out of the Mesa, and the Victory's getting everything. So that's how that works, and it's why you get this massive spread. It also is why we get our chorus down.
So we have the vibrato, which is, at the moment, there's no dry signal in the vibrato, it's only modulation. So we get the dry signal into the Mesa, the direct signal, and the modulated signals going into the Victory. So we get the dry signal and the modulated signal together, which gives you chorus. And it sounds freaking magical because it's a proper chorus. The actual sound source is separated. You've got the direct signal on one amp, the vibrato on the other. Same thing that happens in a Roland JC120 that we, plug that in, turn the chorus on. It's like, oh my word.
Jazz chorus, that's exactly how it is. It's chorus, vibrato's coming out of one speaker and no effect is coming out of the other. And so mixed together.
Just a quick demonstration of that. It's just the best sound.
Normally, we could show you the vibrato sound on its own, but we can't, because if we turn the Mesa off, the Victory's getting no preamp sound.
Correct.
So there's 2, before we move on, there's 2 significant questions at this point that you might have. Number 1, why aren't we just splitting the signal from the board and going into 2 separate amps like we normally do?
And the main reason for that is because we are using the preamp of the first amp. And that is, the preamp is driving the power amp. The preamp is also giving us the gain sound. So the preamp is a really important function tonally. It always has, but tonally in feeding the second amplifier, we have to include the Mesa preamp in the signal path.
Because that is a power amp only. There's no preamp in it. So we have to do that. And then what about if my amp doesn't have an effects loop is the next question you might be asking. That's when you go and watch our other wet-dry videos and how we do it normally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there are tons and tons and tons of amps out there with effects loops, and we know you guys love using them. So amazing. I want to have a quick play on this.
Please.
Before we do the next thing. And the next thing is going to be getting rid of both amps' speakers and plugging it all into one stereo 4x12.
A heroic 4x12.
A heroic 4x12, yeah. I just want to have a quick
Dude, it's so good.
We haven't had any humbuckers yet, so here's some humbuckers just for you humbucker people, and you'll hear the gains all work a bit differently. But yeah, just run through some sounds.
It's just amazing.
We've added, essentially a Class D power amp with a valve front end in it to any old 1x12. With no disrespect, Philip, and to Electro Harmonics for it, but it's nothing posh, right?
Yeah, it's quite a simple.
And we've added it to a 112 combo.
It's so big. It's just so big.
Shall we?
Far out, man.
Then I think what we need is bigger, isn't it?
Well, oh,
Right. Dan will have a play in a minute. What have we done? We've got rid of the little 1x12 cab and we've added a stereo 4x12. All, a ridiculous stereo 4x12.
so mega, dude.
What we could do now, if you didn't want to carry the combo amp around, look at this, built-in guitar stand. Look at that.
Amazing.
If we didn't want to carry the combo amp around, we could forget the Mesa just for a second. I mean, I know it's down there and you can see it, but we could forget the Mesa and we could run two little heads.
Yeah. Or one head and one power amp.
That doing the job of the Mesa.
Yep.
There's your power amp, and whether you've got a stereo 412 or a stereo 212 or two little 112s, what you've got now is not with the 412. You've got a powerful, really great sounding. Now we've also one additional thing we've wired in stereo.
Yeah. So it's no longer wet-dry, it's proper stereo. So stereo delays and reverbs.
Yeah, because we're still sending from the mono effects loop of the Mesa, but we're returning stereo into the return of the Mesa and the return of the Victory Power Amp. Diagram on screen, and our friend
Andy Timmons
does it exactly like this.
Exactly like
this. If you are a fan of Andy Timmons or you know who Andy Timmons is, He tends to use 2 Mesa Lone Star amps, and he does it exactly like this.
Yep. Yeah, it's magic.
It's pretty cool. Have a play, mate. Have a play, and then we'll decide what we think in a minute.
Okay. It is the most fun in the world. It's the most fun in the world.
It's different to how Dan and I normally do it. Given that everything we said earlier on in the video, you know, going into the front of the amps, putting everything to the front of the amps. This is the way that is the sort of logical way that most people do it most of the time, and for other reasons we don't do it that way. Anyway, the point is, with products such as the Powervalve 200, little power amp, all you need to add is that and a speaker. You can use the preamp in your amp because you love the sound of your amp, that's why you have it. Multiple channels, you can use your effects loop. Nothing changes. As you saw in the first example, we moved one cable. Doesn't require a great big pedal board rewire, doesn't require NASA level signal routing. It simply requires adding a couple of things, changing a cable. Now, caveat, you do have to think about phase, that is to say polarity reversal, so that when your speakers are doing that, they're not doing that. We've discussed that before. And also that you don't get ground loop hums. It is noisier, because we're running gain everywhere, it just is noisier than our regular rigs. But you might not want to go to the full crazy town of a stereo 412, but how many Marshall 1936 212s are there out in the world?
Yeah.
And the equivalent from Laney, from whoever, brands, line them up. A lot of modern 212s and 412s have that stereo switch. Now, when we went stereo, unfortunately, we lost the Wet-Dry nature of the chorus.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because we're running a mono input into the collider, going stereo out of the collider into both power amp returns. So that means both power amp returns are fed by the diamond.
So it's now hitting both amps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we thought the stereo delay and reverb might be good fun. So there you go. You could use your little Class D solid state. The Victory has a valve in it, I know, but most of them don't. You could use your little Class D power amp as your guitar amp, run into a little cab off your pedal board. Or you could have much more fun with it.
Yeah.
And use it to augment the rig that you already love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes,
So cool.
we were loud today, but this all sounds fantastic at low volume too.
Especially at low volume. For me, like trying to be sensible and lower volume, this is where it makes the most sense.
Because it just sounds so much bigger, right to the top of the video. Why do we do this in the first place?
Yep.
Because it sounds massive.
It sounds massive, but it still sounds clear. You still get the attack of the note, which is, it's everything. And it's the most wonderful way to do it. I really, really dig it.
I mean, yeah, we were using a pretty Gucci amp, an old Mesa Mark III there, but channel switching amps, you know all about it.
Yeah.
The audio will tell the tale because at the moment we're hearing the sum total of everything in the room, and I'm not unhappy with anything I'm hearing.
No.
So I think that power amp sounds pretty decent.
Yeah.
Just as a very, very final bit, it does have the option to turn the tube off.
Oh, okay.
Have a play.
Oh, interesting.
I'll turn the tube off and on, and we'll see if we can discern much difference.
Sure.
So I guess play something simple. But
Yeah, but I'll go on to
play whatever you like.
Yeah, but can you turn B on for me? Because
Yeah.
I'll use the overdrive of the amp.
Sounds a bit warmer. Hard to tell. Stood right there, so the audio will tell the story. Were you noticing much difference?
I was actually. And
Dan's another like 6 feet further from the speaker, so he's
yeah,
getting
so I'm
it.
getting more of the thing. But it wasn't, even though, yes, it is a bit warmer, there's a, when it's off,
Right.
that transistor thing,
Yeah.
which that goes a long way to,
Mitigating.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what they would hoped it would do.
yeah. It's very
Okay,
cool. Very,
good.
very cool.
All right. Let us know how you're using your little Class D power amps.
Yeah.
For sure, stick it on the end of a pedal board, fly board into whatever cab you can find. Perfect. It also has a cab sim on it, just so you know, as some of them do. But this is That Pedal Show. We want to be a bit more ambitious than that. So,
I think box ticked.
Yeah.
That sounds flipping great.
good. All right. Any final thoughts?
I am going to set up the MKX because I'm really liking that amplifier, and I'm going to try this approach with it.
That
But I'm going to use my Master 2x12
Yeah.
and do that stereo thing with it.
Nice.
But not stereo, do the wet, dry, wet.
Well, I prefer wet dry to stereo, have to say.
The you know what was amazing? The reverb into just one amp.
Yeah.
Far out. I
Because
mean,
you keep the directness of the...
and it's astonishing how much you lose. Not lose, but it's like
Yeah.
how much direct sound you keep by just having the reverb. And you can have it all wet if you like.
Yeah.
But I just was so blown away by that sound.
As a final thought on that, for those of you who've got a couple pedals you like, you've got your amp you love, if you go into like a TPS Wet-Dry situation or a stereo situation, all of it changes massively.
Yeah.
Doing it this way with your couple pedals you love, your amp you love, and just doing that mono wet-dry thing, I think is the closest way to keep your amp sounding exactly as you like it.
Yes.
And add all the good stuff.
Agreed completely.
Minimum compromise.
Yep. Agreed completely.
Good. All right.
Magic,
Thanks for
magic.
watching. Please go to that pedal show store and buy stuff. That's how we stay on the air. And also a massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon.
Yes,
we
thank you so
appreciate
much.
you.
Thank you so much. And also our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe
Andersons,
and in Brisbane of Australia.
Pedal Empire.
Yes, they're our preferred retailers. Details in the links below. Go click them, buy stuff, and they give us a little backhander. A little fiddly.
Yeah. Instead of a lorry full of money. No, it is a lorry. It's a literal truck full of money that turns up.
Hundreds of pence.
Dark money.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.